A direct upgrade from the iconic Kuu-Centuarus, this one instead likes to focus on getting up close and personal to settle its business. It is CTR01 Disci-Centuarus, with a kit of Deathlock, Effect Clear, Tide Blow, Multi-Legs, and the leg ability of Dead or Alive, which buffs all leg stats, minus armor and heavy limit for every critical hit scored, notably by a melee-based attack. Now, as a new installment, not just in Medarot S, but also in the Centaur-based series, it is very obvious to see the inspiration from its earlier design of Kuu-Centuarus. But as mentioned, instead of focusing on bows and arrows and long-range combat with very well-balanced stats, this model instead likes to focus on getting up close and personal when it comes to settling its business and its grievances with the enemy side. Deathlock is a negative ailment that, upon inflicting it on an enemy, will inflict them with no dodge and no defend. This means that every hit is guaranteed to land, and in addition, every hit is guaranteed to be a critical hit on top of that. And as if that wasn't enough, on top of no dodge and no defend, Deathlock will also inhibit the enemy's heat and cool stat by about 25%, meaning that they're going to be not only a sitting duck, but also moving notably slower than they were before, which would be very good for buying yourself even just a few extra precious seconds to outrun a possibly dangerous foe. Effect Clear is a conventional melee skill that's kind of a hybrid between an ailment and a not ailment, but in particular, upon attacking a target, it will check them for any positive buffs that are in effect. These effects can be anything like Shoot Boost, Stat Cleanse, Radar Sight, Dominion, Field Control, anything that's a positive boost to themselves in particular. For every positive effect that it checks for and finds, it will deal punish damage multiplicatively for every one it sees. So while by itself it may not deal a lot of notable damage aside from maybe just a basic strike, if you do like to attack someone that likes to abuse positive buffs, such as, say, with the leg ability of Holy Grace, which gets a stat boost for every positive effect, this can be a very good way as a deterrent to keep them from doing that. In addition, it is also a very good deterrent to anyone using Stat Cleanse that may possibly inhibit him from using Deathlock. Tide Blow on the left arm is another conventional melee skill that has an added bonus to it. Upon attacking a target successfully, it will also grant a stack of Conceal to oneself. Now, Conceal in particular is most notably known for boosting the user's evade by a considerable amount and making them immune to any AoE or pierce damage effects for one turn. So if that hammer likes to come in with an AoE and does attack you, not only will you be likely grazing the blow, but the effect will also be all channeled into the one part deflecting it. Of course, upon being attacked, this effect will then disappear. Multi-legs means that Disci-Centuarus will have very solid coverage across most terrains, arguably the next best well-rounded under Biped in terms of terrain matching, but the stats across the board for Disci-Centuarus are actually pretty notably aggressive too, even if the effects aren't super powerful at first glance. Head armor about 3,900 HP, arms about 3,600 each, and the legs about 4,100 is a very healthy HP pool, meaning it's going to be particularly difficult to take this centaur down or cripple him once the fight starts and he starts inflicting ailments. Leg stats aren't too shabby either, with the leg mobility of 865 is very good. That does mean that he will have a very solid coverage, a base speed across the board once the fight does begin. An evade of 816 isn't too shabby, but not all that great either, but still kind of in that mid-range, I suppose, at the lower end. A melee resist of 1640 is very good, as this does mean that he can certainly hold his own up close and personal very well. But a shoot resist of 658 is definitely where he falls flat though, as it does mean that he will be taking a very considerably higher amount of incoming damage from shooting attacks, and it does mean that enemy sniper on the opposing team will most certainly have a field day taking this mythical man-horse down when it comes to combating him on the field. Overall, though, with all this said, as a pure set score, I do honestly have to rate him a pretty solid 7 out of 10. Despite being largely interruption and ailment based, he is surprisingly aggressive when it comes to that too. Dead or Alive and Deathlock have very good synergy with each other, as Deathlock basically guarantees every hit's a crit, and the leg ability buffs all his leg stats for every crit scores. Really, do I need to say more on that and how well they work together? Effects Clear and Hide Blow are kind of strange in particular of how they behave, but it honestly does add to the likelihood of him lasting longer on the field or punishing the enemy for using positive buffs. This also does include anyone that uses Hypercrept especially, or even Precognition. This will definitely spell the doom for them once Effect Clear starts getting slapped on them. As mixed parts, I do have to rate him just a little bit higher at an 8 out of 10. Given that even though he does have some relatively unique synergy together, especially between the head and legs, the arms are kind of out there, and in terms of what they can bring to the table, it's not that they're bad skills, but they are kind of strange, with the exception of Hide Blow, though with that added stack of Conceal. And with the addition of that, the leg stats are honestly pretty nice, but definitely exercise caution when facing anyone of long-range caliber.